U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond of Louisiana was recently on The Breakfast Club where he was asked, why do people think Democrats are anti-2A? And here's what he had to say.
How many guns do you own right now, Cedric? Especially after hearing Donald Trump tell, the Proud Boys to be on standby. You a Louisiana man. How many guns do you own?
I have one gun, and I'm looking at purchasing another. And the unfortunate part is I saw a movie the other day, and I just decided that, with the chaos going on, the firearm that person had that I want. So,
what kind of firearm was this? Was it a Desert Eagle or 40 caliber? What was it?
Shut up, Envy. I have nothing against Envy. He just sounded like a goofball. Man has some good taste in cars, though.
No, there's two that I want. One is the Judge. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a handgun. It's a revolver that can shoot either a 45 bullet or it could shoot, I think, a 401 shotgun shell. And that way, if you're home, I just go back to that scene in Boys in the Hood where Lawrence Fishburne shoots straight through the front door. If you're coming in my house, I'm going to assume that you are a foe. And I don't want to necessarily have to be aim the best. So that revolver with shotgun shells in it, I think
it spreads, yeah.
Trick.
I'm doing my best not to judge him for wanting a judge, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Cedric is a FUD. For those that don't know, a FUD is a gun owner who only likes old hunting rifles, shotguns, and revolvers and thinks no one should own an AR-15, and they usually say stuff like this.
You don't need an AR-15. It's harder to aim, it's harder to use, and in fact, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself. Buy a shotgun.
And this.
A lot is, okay, let's pick it. Let's say 3. If you haven't hit the deer with 3 shots, you're a pretty lousy shot. That deer deserves to get away.
They're not always anti-gun technically, but they are anti-2A. And why are we talking about shooting people through a door? Shooting an unknown target through a door is the complete opposite of responsible gun ownership. One of the 4 rules of gun safety literally says, identify your target and what is behind it. And I'm sorry, I said I wasn't gonna judge, but I can't take anyone seriously who wants a judge as a home defense gun, especially someone who thinks that by having a judge, you don't have to aim as good. This is not a movie. This is real life. And you're a real life congressman who makes laws that affect real people's lives, yet you've managed to demonstrate in under 2 seconds that you not only don't know much about guns, you don't know squat about gun safety.
Why do people think Democrats are anti-Second Amendment?
I don't know. Look, the best hunter and shooter in Congress is a guy named Benny Thompson, a black guy from Mississippi. And Benny might have 20-something guns, and they range the gamut, but he is the best shooter. And so I don't know why people assume that we're not for the Second Amendment.
First of all, just because you have guns doesn't mean you're incapable of being anti-Second Amendment. It could very well mean you're not anti-Second Amendment for yourself, but anti-Second Amendment for everyone else. The halls of Congress are littered with hypocrites, so you having a gun means nothing. Your policies and positions on the issue are what make you anti-Second Amendment or not. Sure, there are some Democrats who are pro-2A. I've interviewed one of them on my show, but can we not sit up here and act like 99% of the politicians pushing for the most extreme forms of gun control are Democrats? That's why people think Democrats are anti-2A, because you are all the ones trying to shove gun control down our throats every chance you get. Name one anti-gun group that supports a Republican. That should tell you everything you need to know. So don't come on here and act dumb like you don't know why people think Democrats are anti-2A. It's because y'all say the most anti-2A
everything has limits. You can't have a bazooka. I mean, it'd be probably cool to own a bazooka, but you can't.
Actually, if you have the money and undergo the licensing process to own one, you can own a bazooka.
And so you can't have an M16. So
wrong again. They're expensive as hell and heavily regulated, but if you undergo the process, you can own an M16 too.
Weapons are weapons of mass destruction, not the Second Amendment.
As defined by U.S. law, the definition of weapons of mass destruction is a destructive device such as an explosive or incendiary bomb, rocket, or grenade, a weapon that is designed to cause death or serious injury through toxic or poisonous chemicals, a weapon that contains a biological agent or toxin, or a weapon that is designed to release dangerous levels of radiation or radioactivity. Now, someone please tell me where an AR-15 fits in this definition. AR-15s account for less than 2% of gun deaths in this country, while over 90% of gun deaths are committed with handguns like that judge you were just talking about a minute ago. Yet, you think AR-15s are weapons of mass destruction. Not to mention, the third most deadly mass shooting we've ever had was in 2007 at Virginia Tech, and the shooter only used a 9mm handgun and a little .22 to do it.
And think about this. When they wrote the Second Amendment, there was no such thing as an AR-15. There was no such thing as an M16. So the framers of the Constitution were not talking about guns that could cause that much carnage in such little time. So, you know, I don't know why, but to have...
When the framers wrote the Second Amendment, they just got done fighting a revolutionary war using the most modern rifles of their time. They were literally using weapons of war and decided to protect the use of said weapons in the Second Amendment. So you're telling me that the same people who had enough foresight and brilliance to put together one of the most brilliant documents in history were also too stupid and short-sighted to realize that guns would continue to advance and become more modern? I don't hear you saying anything about how they were talking about the internet when they wrote the First Amendment, which, if there was going to be something that the framers could not foresee, it would be the ability to conduct interviews using moving pictures between three people in different locations across the globe over this silly thing called the fucking internet.
Some reasonable gun reform, like closing the Charleston Loophole, where this kid sat in that church and he said the people were so nice to him that he had second thoughts before he murdered them. And you mean to tell me we can't just, if your background check doesn't come back in 72 hours, you have to have that gun?
First of all, the Charleston Loophole is not a loophole. It was a very deliberate safety measure put in place to prevent the federal government from arbitrarily denying people their Second Amendment rights by simply not completing background checks in a timely manner. Without it, the FBI could just sit on your background check as long as they wanted to. Not to mention, the Charleston shooter didn't get a gun because of a loophole. He got a gun because the people responsible for processing and running the background check system, i.e. the government, dropped the ball. Had nothing to do with the loophole. Someone failed to put the right information in the right place, so when they went to look for it, it wasn't there. That's not a loophole, it's called government incompetence.
Well, let me just tell you something from my neighborhood. The person who needs a gun immediately is the person that shouldn't have a gun, because something is wrong if you want a gun and you cannot wait to get it.
Yeah, sure. Tell that to Carol Bone, a New Jersey woman who was murdered by her ex-boyfriend after waiting more than 45 days to get approved for a firearm permit that would allow her to buy a gun to defend herself. And the only reason she was trying to buy a gun was because she was scared that her ex-boyfriend was going to try to kill her. And the only reason she didn't have her permit to buy a gun is because the New Jersey government is notorious for taking their sweet little time approving permits, because the leaders of New Jersey, who, surprise, surprise, are Democrats, don't really want their citizens exercising their Second Amendment rights. So they do everything in their power to take as long as possible to approve permits.
And so those are the types of things I think we just have to talk to the American people, that it's just common sense. And so...
You talking about common sense? Yet you're talking about shooting unknown people through your front door with a judge. You don't even have a basic level understanding of firearm safety, and you're trying to tell us about common sense?
You know, I don't know why Democrats get the, probably because we let them say it. You know, if you let people say stuff over and over again, people will start to believe it. It's why Muhammad Ali always said he was the greatest. Reporter asked him why. He said, if I say it enough, people will believe it. So we've let the Republicans say we're anti-Second Amendment so long that people actually believe it, when we're not anti-Second Amendment. We're just pro-common sense.
People don't think Democrats are anti-2A because you let the Republicans say it. People think Democrats are anti-2A because y'all say it over and over and over again.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons?
I do believe that we need to do buybacks.
I will give the United States Congress 100 days to get their act together and have the courage to pass reasonable gun safety laws. And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
So to gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. If I'm elected and I'm coming for you and gun manufacturers, I'm going to take you on and I'm going to beat you. I'm the only one who's done it.
But I'm the only candidate on this stage calling for a ban and buyback of every sinal assault weapon in America.
We banned the sale and distribution, and that's what I believe for many years.
Will you buy them?
With regard to guns, assault weapons, with regard to dealing with climate change. And I just was warning Amy, if I win, I'm coming for it.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
Right now, there's a culture war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can help do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and clicking the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice, and let them know you want to keep America tactical, because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to purchase your AR-15s are essential, I will not comply. I am the militia. I lost all my guns in a boating accident, and your state-specific Keep America Tactical shirt, click the link next to my head or the link in the description section, or if you're watching this on a mobile device, tap the small triangle on the lower right-hand side of this video and click the link in the description.